Alright, so I'm going to be opening up and disassembling this HP laptop. Let's see the model. Sorry, let's zoom in a little bit. Alright, so this is, well, I guess first we have to take the battery out. And here you go. The model number is a HP Envy TouchSmart 17 notebook PC. Specific model is 17T-J000. So this has a fan issue, so we are going to have to open it up and replace the fan. Alright, so you saw we had to remove the battery just like that, slide it over, it comes out. If you really need to replace the battery, it's PI06, I think, unless it's an L, but PI06. Okay, set the battery aside. Alright, we're going to have to remove all the screws from the bottom. I believe there's also screws underneath these rubber pieces. This thing seems like it might be breaking because the plastic is actually coming apart. Oh man, this screw is really difficult to remove. Let's see. These rubber pieces, I'm pretty sure they have screws hidden underneath. I could be wrong, but... Alright, so I'm just prying it out with a small flathead screwdriver. Okay, yep, there's a screw under there, so we will have to remove both of those. So as you can see, I'm using a thin, small flathead screwdriver to get underneath, and then I just pry it up, okay? If you're going to do this with a flathead screwdriver, make sure you have a good screwdriver bit, or you're going to just end up bending your screwdriver, okay? Alright, so we got that. Okay, so now we're going to switch to a PH1 and remove all the screws. One underneath this cover. Okay, there's one screw here that's missing, so I can't remove that. Right, these you might need to use a PH0, but my PH1 screwdriver seemed to work, so I'm just going to use that. Okay. Okay, these screws are too far apart now. Let's put them closer together. Alright, you got the one screw here. Hopefully they didn't damage any of the screws to a point where I can't remove them. Alright, after you remove the screws, you just pull up on this cover like this. I kind of like flex it down with my thumb and pull up with my fingers to make it pull itself inwards. Okay, just like that, and then you can pull this cover off. Alright, so the cover just comes off like that. Okay, you got the hard drive here, or SSD. They did upgrade it. There's a CMOS battery. If yours is different, it could be because my customer might have taken it apart and taken stuff out. But anyways, I'm going to remove the rest of the screws. So let's remove all the screws from around the outside edge. Okay. There's no screw on the bottom, but they are on the inside. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. It's a little bit getting out of view, but basically just removing all the screws. That's missing a screw. So this one is missing a whole bunch of screws, but yeah, anyways, we're going to go ahead and continue removing all the screws. Okay. You do want to keep the screws in order because they are different sizes, shapes, and lengths, so you don't want to just take them all out and throw them all in a bucket, because then you'll put the wrong screw in the wrong place and you can actually damage your computer that way. Okay, so just be careful with that. Alright, so the way I avoid that, mixing them up, is I put them all in order on my desk in a layout of how I'm taking them out from the computer, so I can see where they came from. Alright, once you remove the 4 or 3 screws from this metal bracket, you can lift it out. Be careful with the cable here, so I lift it at an angle like this and slide it out of the way. Alright, we'll take that out. So now that we got that out, we can actually take the SSD out. Though actually this is held in place with an adhesive, so I'm going to leave this attached to this piece, but what I'm going to do is flip up the latch here and then pull this cable out, and I'll leave that there. The hard drive or the SSD, there's a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive slot, so you can put whichever drive you want in there as long as it's 2.5-inch SATA. So this thing is a little bit difficult to remove. It's just held in place with this rubbery stuff. When it gets old, it sticks to it, so that's why it's stuck in there. I'm going to use this thin pry tool, and I'm going to just use that to kind of get it out. Okay, just like that. If you don't have that, what you can do is you can get a screw that's the size for these, and then you can use that. Another way is you can get a screwdriver tip like this that's about the same size, and you can use that as like a way to kind of help pry it up. So as you can see, I'm going to use this and pry it just like that. So there's some tricks here that you can use to remove these pieces. All right, so once you get that up, I'm going to use my fingernail up here. I don't know what else you can use, a pry tool or something, but I get my fingernail along this, you see this gray part, not the dark black or gray connector here, because that'll just pop the thing off, but on here where the lip is, and I pull it, and then while I'm holding that, I kind of just pull the drive, and you can see it, and I wiggle it out, and that's how you remove the hard drive or the SSD. Okay, this thing comes out, you kind of just pull it apart, you pull it away like that, and then these metal prongs are what hold it in place. So if you wanted to replace the hard drive, that's how you would do it. You need to transfer over this rubber shield. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's remove all the screws remaining inside. There's a lot of screws in this thing. So remember, you're gonna have to try and keep them all in order because they are different sizes and shapes. And you don't want to put the wrong one in the wrong spot, and then you end up damaging it, and you'll never be able to put the right screw back in. Okay. So there we go. All these are much smaller screws, skinnier ones. Okay. CMOS battery, I'm gonna pull it out this way so that I can leave it connected. Okay, because I don't like to disconnect the CMOS battery if I don't have to. Alright, this connector is for, I think, the speakers. I think you have to unplug this before removing it. So what I do is, because I can't get my fingernail on both sides, I use my screwdriver on one side and my fingernail on the other, and I kind of just rock it back and forth. You probably can't see, but basically you just walk it like slowly moving each side, and it'll pop out like that. Okay. Alright, let's continue removing all the screws under here. Hopefully you can see. Actually, let me zoom back out. Okay, so we're going to continue removing all the screws. There are a lot of screws in here, so keep that in mind. Alright. Okay. See, this one screw is holding the CD drive or the optical drive, so if your main goal is just to remove that, you just need to remove this screw that's underneath the board, okay, or underneath the cover. After you do that, you can, there's a little notch here that you can use your screwdriver to kind of pull it over, or you can kind of just grab along the side here and pull it out, but yeah. So I use this to start it, and then I pull it out like that. Alright, there's 3 more screws under here. Again, this thing has a lot of screws. If your main goal is just the hard drive and the RAM, I probably should have mentioned the RAM here, but the RAM, let me see here, is PC3 12800S, so you just pull these 2 tabs to the side, the RAM pops up like that, then you can pull it out. Alright, here you go. PC3 12800S. Okay, so you can upgrade to whatever sticks of RAM you can find. I don't know if they make 16 gig sticks for DDR3, but if you can find it, the computer should be able to support it. Just make sure it's a PC3 12800S, okay? Alright, one last screw here. I think that's all of them. We might have to remove the keyboard as well. So, put that screw here. Alright, let's see. Oops, I missed one screw down here. Okay, almost missed that one. Here we go. Alright, so now we got all those screws out. Let me see if I have to remove the keyboard. Since it's missing the since it's missing the screws that are holding the hinge in place that were underneath these rubber caps, you do want to open this slowly and carefully because you don't want to break the hinges. Okay. It looks like the keyboard is on top, so I'm gonna leave this closed and I'll leave the keyboard alone for now. Okay, so there we go. Close this up. Now we gotta remove this cover. So what you do is you just get your fingernails or pry tools all along the gaps. Oh, I missed 2 screws up here. Actually 3, 4. So it's hard to see this while I'm working on it from this angle, so sorry I'm missing some stuff, but oh, that one, the screw mount is broken, so I don't think I can even take out that screw. We'll take out this one. Okay, this one, and this one. I hope that's not going to prevent me from being able to open it. We'll see. Yeah, I don't think that screw's going to come out at all. I'm going to try using a flathead screwdriver underneath the screw while I kind of untwist it and see if I can get it out. Sometimes that will work. It's working a tiny bit, but not completely. All right, let me switch to a larger one. So I'm getting a flathead screwdriver underneath the screw, and then I'm using that to pull up on the screw while I unscrew it. There we go. I think it's coming out. Oh, no, not all the way. There we go. All right, got that screw out. I don't think I'll be able to put it back in because the screw mount is broken, but all right, so I think that's all the screws I need to remove to get this cover off. Might have to remove some of these, but I'm gonna lift the cover up and see first. All right, so just get underneath this thing. Let's see if I can, where should I start from on this? Wait, I thought I took all 3 of these out. I guess I missed one of these. Okay. Make sure you get all the screws out. Okay, so I'm going to use this as a handle underneath here, and then I'm going to slide my fingernail or pry tool underneath there. There you can see it's all coming out. Okay. You do have to remove this optical disk drive connector because this is attached to the bottom case. All right, get that out of the way. Lift this up. Again, make sure the CMOS battery doesn't get damaged. Kind of lift this up. Oh, you do have to remove this small 2-pin connector as well. So I just use my fingernails, go underneath, and then kind of just wiggle it as I pull it like that, and it pops up. Okay, again, slowly lift it up. Make sure the CMOS battery isn't getting caught on anything, and wiggle it around to get the side over here disconnected from all those clips. And there we go. So we got the bottom cover off, just like that. The customer said this laptop was complaining about the fan and giving an error. I can see why. The fan is having a hard time spinning, but actually after I spun it, it's probably okay now. So technically I don't think they needed a new fan. Well, anyways, CMOS battery, you got the keyboard connector here. I don't want to remove all this keyboard backlight connector, but basically you flip this latch up, you can pull the connector out and then push it back in to put it back, flip it back down. You got the trackpad connector, same thing. You got this USB and the headphone jack connector here. Got this cable for, I don't know what that's for. DB wire. I don't know what that's for, but more power. Maybe it adds more power for the 3 USB 3 ports. The wireless card, you just pull up on the antennas from here. Don't try and pry from the front. You can damage them that way. So pull up like that, and then they just go back in by pushing them down. I'll show you on one antenna. All right, just pull it up like that. It pops off. All right, and then you can put it back on. Just line it up. Make sure it's lined up. I like to rub it with my fingernail. If it doesn't move, then it's lined up, and then just push it down. This comes up like the RAM. You just take the one screw up, it'll go at an angle, and then you can pull it out. All right, then you got this connector here. I'm not sure what that's for. I think there's like some lights or something along the top there. The CPU on this one is removable and upgradable. You can change it, but it needs to be the same, I don't know what you call it, the same generation. Yeah. So it needs to match the slot. Sometimes the computers, they won't even support the same generation ones. So kind of want to be careful when upgrading those things. All these screws for the hinges, they're kind of loose. So I'm going to actually apply some thread locker to them. I'm going to clean the dust off of this and then do that. But let's remove the fan now. Okay, so there's one screw here. There's another screw here. The main purpose of this video was to, my customer wanted me to change the fan, so I don't want to do a complete disassembly because there's risk involved with that. A lot of people ask me like, why don't I take everything apart every video? and because I do this for a living to work on people's computers, and I don't want to risk damaging their computers further. So, I mean, even though I can, like 99.9% of the time, take them apart just fine without causing any extra damage, I don't want to risk it. That one small percent will make one customer very mad. So, alright, so peel up this adhesive. Alright, this is holding on with a cable as well. Let's see, something is holding this fan in place. Oh, I think it's just tucked under the cable. So I'm going to pull the fan connector out. So just grab as close to the connector as you can. Let me zoom in so you can see that. All right, grab as close to the connector as you can. Sorry, it's wobbling around. I don't know if I can stop that. Okay, grab it and then just wiggle it as you pull it. Okay, works best to wiggle it side to side along the length of the connector. Okay, and there you go, popped out. All right, let's lift this up and hopefully we can pull it back like that. Oh, there's some adhesive holding this piece. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I zoomed in so you couldn't really see what I did. But basically I just grabbed this part and kind of lifted it and pulled it and then pulled it out that way. Okay, so this thing's really dusty and dirty, and I'm gonna have to clean it. The fan was just fine. The real issue was debris, plastic stuff and junk was getting stuck in it. If you can see here, all this lint got stuck in it. So this kind of stuff is what damages your fans. It gets clogged in there. Usually this will be dust if you're using it on like fabric materials, smoke if you smoke or light incense or stuff like that, burn candles, and then also oils and greases if you vape or do a lot of frying. That stuff gets sucked into the fan. It gets stuck in the propellers. It gets stuck in here, and that's what damages the fans. All right, so that's pretty much all there is to this that I'm gonna do. You do have the LCD LVDS connector here. If you do want to remove this, make sure you took out the battery and held the power button down for at least 15 seconds. Okay, so I think this cable is for the power button. I think that's the power button. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty much it. To put it back, you basically just redo everything in reverse. There's this cable here. I think that's also the fingerprint sensor. But yeah, that's all there is to it. I'm going to brush this off with a toothbrush, and I'm going to clean this up as well, and then add the thread locker, which basically, the thread locker, this stuff. Basically, you just add like a small amount to the sides of the screws. If you've seen the screws, how they have that blue stuff on them, that's thread locker, but I don't feel the blue thread locker works so well, so I always add the red stuff. So this is the thread locker. I don't know if you can even see it. It's probably too blurry, but there's blue stuff on there, and that's thread locker. All right, so again, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helped you with your computer. If it did, like and subscribe so others can find my video. Thank you for watching. Basically, I'm just going to clean it up and then do everything in reverse to put it all back together. All right, so thanks again. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. So one thing I forgot to mention, this looks like there's some RAM or SSD, something memory soldered here. And then there's also this slot here. It looks like for a M-SATA SSD. Those are the older types, but this is like a longer M-SATA SSD slot, I believe. If anyone knows, or if that's not, feel free to mention it in the comment section below. Anyways, thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!